Okay, well, thanks, Mark. Mark billed this as the future of travel, but it's not about hyperspace or Stargate. But let me first start by introducing myself. I began my career as a travel agent. I left that company after 6 months and did my first startup at 21. We built that over 5 years into the 50th largest travel agency in the country. Then I jumped to a travel software company, which after 6 months we sold to American Airlines. I spent 20 years there in marketing, a divisional VP. I was VP of software development, VP of computer operations for American. That's when I lost my hair. And then I became CIO. And while I was CIO, they gave me a little department of online booking, which we turned into Travelocity.com. So I quit the CIO job and ran Travelocity.com for 6 years, took it public for 1.2 billion. Later, they took it private and I left because I was worried they would screw it up, which they did. And then I was on my own as a speaker and an author and working with General Catalyst Partners. We launched kayak.com, where I was chairman for 8 years until we took it public, sold it to booking.com for 2 billion. Then I got a call from Ginny Rometty at IBM, and she wanted me to teach Watson about travel. That resulted in a company called Wayblizer.ai with an initial investment from IBM. The tech worked great. The company failed. It was too early in AI. Today, I could probably raise 100 million this afternoon with the same idea. And now I'm chairman of Amgen.ai, which is known to 360. It's a business travel AI company. And I'm an advisor to many more, including Copilot Travel, who's here today. Now, I wanted to get a great quote about travel. So the quote is, AI and NDC will be the biggest changes to travel distribution since the internet. And the pundit who said that was me. And so today we're going to talk about two things, AI and NDC. I'm a public speaker, and one of the speeches, I just came back from London giving this speech, is AI is the new UI. I think AI is going to change the user interface completely. And the great thing about AI, it allows us to get much richer input than we've ever had before. Whether it's a chat, whether it's voice and natural language, whether it's gestures, whether it's wearables, there are all these new ways we can gather input. And it's much richer input than we've been able to get before. We can get intent. And intent in any kind of shopping situation is gold, knowing really what the customer wants.
Terry, can I just interrupt for 1 second? Do you mean to be sharing slides right now?
Yeah, you're not getting, that's what I asked.
You just have future of travel on the front.
Okay.
Just have the first one. There you go.
Okay, so let me
30 by now.
Let me stop sharing and try it again. Yeah, I went through a lot of slides because you told me.
Knowing you, I thought so.
You said that's what I do. So let me try Keynote.
In your history, you failed to mention Denison University, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, okay. So when I hit play, does it go away? You see it now?
I see intent.
Yeah, and let me go to the next one. Do you see that?
Nope.
No.
All right, I'm just going to stay in this mode then. Forget it. I don't know why it's doing that, but Zoom is like that. So, So look, intent is gold, right? Intent is very powerful. And I'll give you an example. So here's the user interface I designed for Travelocity in 1996. It is unchanged today. Where do you want to go and what day? But that isn't what you're thinking about. You're thinking about, I want to go to an island with my family and play golf and have kids' activities, right? So what if you could say this, planning a romantic 50th anniversary trip to Italy for my wife, and I'm looking for spa, swimming, and tennis, near wine. And immediately I could come back with Villa d'Este and La Sirenuse. I mean, that's a much more powerful answer, right? So this is not moving. You can also get richer output. So I'm gonna have to try something here with share because these are totally animated. Oh, hang on a minute. Let me just
try take your time.
One more time and just say share entire screen and go back here into get out of the way into play. Now you can see richer output. Do you see that moving?
Yeah, it's moving.
Okay, so This is a picture of a man, a pool, a sunset, and a woman. And that's sort of interesting. But then if you feed it into a semantic analysis, what is this picture really about? It's a romantic picture. So if somebody says they want to go on a trip for their anniversary, this is the photo you should show. Similarly, if I analyze millions of reviews, they have lots of great wisdom in them. You know, this is a review that says pool and lazy river and spa, but really, you know, it's talking about these higher level concepts in green. So that's what the customer asked for. So I want to show that image and that review to provide a better answer. So if I ask this question about planning a romantic anniversary trip, looking for an exceptional experience with tennis, wine, and spa, well, here's the answer. It's Villa del Este. You can see it has, you know, it's right on the water. It's called Heaven on Earth. It must be exceptional. And guess what? It has tennis, wine, and spa. So the ability to get intent and to give a perfect answer dramatically increases conversion. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear this, so because we're having problems, let me play this. Tell me if you can hear this voice. It's going to start in just a minute.
I'm going to Atlanta.
You hear that?
February 27th.
A little bit.
I need a hotel with a gym near Perimeter Mall. The recommendations are for the dates that I wanted, and they're all close to Perimeter Mall. I can even see pictures of the gym at each of the hotels. The results are exactly what I wanted. All right, let's try a different search. Start over.
This is actually Watson.
Yeah.
Somewhere near the beach in Mexico with my husband for 5 days in early May. Holly understood that I wanted to go to the beach for a romantic trip in early May. These hotels all have beaches, and they all look amazing.
So we found double-digit conversion increases by using voice and giving people immediate answers. And one of the reasons is in a chain like IHG, you don't know everything they have, right? Maybe I don't want to go to Acapulco. Maybe I want to go to Cancun because it has more of what I want. But you couldn't answer those questions. So this is Watson plus our own code 10 years ago. Now today, the big online travel agencies are already dabbling in AI, both Booking and Expedia, TripAdvisor, they're starting. And they have vast data to use for their own LLMs. TripAdvisor has 1 billion reviews that they can draw on. Now we'll see if they're smart enough to do it. TripAdvisor's been pretty dumb competitor for the last several years, but they have more data than anyone else. Now, some of them are taking small steps. Here's Kayak, and we were the first to have filters where you could click and say, I only want American, I don't want a red eye, I just want first class. Now you see this little window down here. It says flights on American Airlines with one stop earliest departure. Bang, I get it immediately. Now they don't yet allow you to say that in the initial search, but at least you can say it on the next step. And in talking to Steve Hafner, the chairman, it's starting to work pretty well. Here's TripAdvisor. I want to go to Portofino. Well, who's coming with you? Well, a family. Are you traveling with children? Yes. How do you want to spend your time? Historic landmarks, kids' activities, hiking trails, the kind of questions a travel agent would ask you. And then it's going to come up with a complete itinerary, a route, and the ability for you to book. So we're moving from point purchase to route planning. That's a very different thing than we've seen in travel before. When Travelocity started, we had 2 buttons, book travel and destination information. Nobody clicked on destination. We got rid of it because they wanted a ticket ATM. But these new technologies will allow us to do route planning. And I think that's the way travel is going to go. We're seeing it Airbnb. You can see there on the right. You can say ski in. Never could say that before. I want a ski in, ski out condo. Couldn't ask that question before. So it's beginning to be mainstream. Now, some people are doing this with generic chat GPT, best deluxe hotel in Oslo with a pool. I showed this in Oslo the other day and I asked them, is that the best hotel in Oslo? And they said, yeah, it's one of the best. It's not a bad answer. But you couldn't book it. You could just learn about it. Or then they went to plugins. So Kayak has a travel plugin in GPT, business class flight to New York to London, September 14th. Well, it gave some options, but when I clicked on them, I didn't get them. So I don't think plugins are the way things are going to go. I think these sites will build chat and natural language into them themselves. So I think we're going to see natural language search as a default. We're going to see route and trip planning, and we're going to see concierge products. Let me show you some of those. So Copilot is here today. I'm an advisor to Copilot, and Gary, built this company because of frustration. He said, gee, if I go to a concert, why can't I book my travel on the concert site? And even if there's a link to booking.com, yeah, I go to booking.com, but it doesn't know where I'm going or when. So he built an embedded search engine that can be dropped into any website, let's say Visit Florida, with a few lines of code. It looks like their site. You act and book right on their site, which we know from the financial products and how they've changed. I don't have to go to PayPal anymore. It's built into a site. That's what we're doing with travel and Copilot. So that was an interesting start. But now what he's done is put GPT type product on top of it. So here is Copilot Travel from 2, right? But if I turn on the button that says AI search, then I can say, I want flights from Chicago to Nashville on July 8th, and that's exactly what I get. The same thing is happening with hotels. The same thing is happening with cars. And that's very powerful. As we learned at my old company, Wayblazer, it changes conversion because it's the fastest path from question to answer that increases buyers. He's also done a little chat product because a lot's going to happen in SMS and Slack and other WhatsApp. So you can do the same thing in chat. And the opportunity for Copilot, pardon me, is not to sell it to Booking or Expedia. They're going to do their own. But there are 25,000 other booking engines out there. Travel agents around the world who are online who can't do AI. They're not going to understand the years, literally, that Gary has spent building this and connecting it into Amadeus and Sabre and all the back ends. So the opportunity for this company is a SaaS product that can be sold to the booking engines who are going to have great difficulty in implementing AI for travel because it's hard. Now, I'm an advisor to another company, some of you know about, Amgen. We do email automation. So a large percentage of offline travel bookings are actually made through email. Where people send an email like this that says, I want to fly to LaGuardia July 10th in the early morning, stay at the New York Hilton, return July 15th. Today, without Amgen, this is all manual. Travel agents are taking screenshots of reservation systems and sending them back and forth. What we do is read that email and immediately come back to you with a set of recommendations that are based on your travel policy and your preference. So to me, it's like 30 years ago when I had an assistant and I'd say, hey, I need to go to New York on Friday and stay at the Hilton, come back Friday night. And it just works. So we're reducing the cost for the travel company and increasing the quality for the traveler. Now, there are a lot of GPT route planners, like this one, Roam Around. It's actually already been sold. I want to go to Oslo, Norway. They are just a nice user interface on top of GPT. I think they'll die. I don't think they'll be around very long. But there are other ones that are more interesting. I'm an advisor to this company, Route Perfect, that digitized over 2,000 guides. It asked 2,000 guides, tell me everything you would do in Europe. So that if I want a trip from Madrid to Valencia to Barcelona, it's going to plan that trip for me using the data of 2,000 guides. But they also have GPT. And now they're doing what most smart companies are doing, is combining the power of GPT with their own private data. And that's exactly what TripAdvisor will do. They'll use all the power of the language processing of GPT, and that's what Gary is doing, combined with the travel data to come up with new answers. So this kind of route planning, I think, will change travel. What's next? Well, how about the ability to say, I want a nonstop flight to London tomorrow after 4 in business class with an aisle seat and a lie flat bed? You can't do that today. That involves several databases, but that's actually what I want. Today, I'd go to Seat Guru, I'd go to the airline site, I'd go to several places in order to figure that out. You should be able to just get that answer. Because just like HTML was kind of lipstick on the pig of old mainframes, AI will be lipstick over a lot of different databases. So you probably don't know that Marriott operates the most spas of any company in the world. They operate the most golf courses of anybody in the world. They operate the most 3-star restaurants. But you cannot say to Marriott, what's the best spa in France? They don't let you do that. I think now they will. They're just dipping their toe into AI because there's no point in having scale if I can't access it. And that's the change you're going to see. So here's another example. We worked with, in my company, with VRBO. If I want to go to Austin, all I could say was Austin. But we said, well, what if you could say, I want a hotel, a house near downtown Austin with a great yard. They couldn't answer that question. But because we read every review and we looked at every image, we could find that house and change the hero image from the inside to the backyard and put a review there that says, great backyard. Those are the kind of changes you can make if you really understand your data. I came up with a concept called, what are you unknown for? Looking at the Hotel du Louvre in Paris, they're all about the Louvre, right? But guess what? When you read their reviews, hundreds of people said, I went there because the Tuileries is not far. They were unknown for that. And we helped them put that into their content to attract people who go to the Tuileries. So sometimes people don't read their own reviews. They don't know what's there. And now we're going to be able to data mine that with AI to increase your view to the customer. Companies are doing interesting things with mobile. Hilton, for example, lets you choose your own room. It lets you walk in and use your phone as a key. But what does that do? It takes a lobby that looked like this and turn it into a lobby that looks like this. Nobody's going to be in your lobby. Who is going to know that you have the best spot? Who is going to know that you have the best restaurant? So concierge apps are beginning to use AI to do this. Sojourn, a company where I'm an advisor, is answering 80% of guest requests using a concierge. And it connects to the back of the house systems and tells the hotel, what are people asking about? Well, they're asking where I can get a sandwich. Where's the nearest dog park? I talked with a company yesterday called DX3. They're doing the same thing. Hey, I ran out of towels. I need 3 more. It automatically connects to the back office. Or, you know, I want to order a pizza and it's going to be like Domino's and show you where the pizza is. I think we're going to have these concierge apps in our hands as we travel, not just from hotels, but from Booking.com and Kayak and others that will help us all through the travel journey. We're also seeing VR and AR coming into travel. So people are using their phones to understand what's around them. Guide companies are realizing, hey, the one-day tour is probably gone. You're going to do that on your phone. I have to change my business model. We're seeing robotics.
But Terry, can I ask you, can you go backwards? Does that mess up?
I can.
I like that. Does that exist?
Yeah. Yeah, that exists. It's a test, but it exists. And people are able to use the Google AI and other layers to do this. And so national travel companies are rolling this out. And that's why tour companies are worried, you know, because maybe I don't need a guide for London. So instead they're saying, let me take you to a great food experience. Let me take you to some, you know, interesting experiential tour instead of just showing you a museum.
Everybody's walking around with Apple Vision Pro headsets on.
Right.
Yeah,
Seems like
exactly. And running into each other.
Exactly.
Or sitting at home and taking the tour without leaving.
Right.
You know, the average age of a housekeeper in Hawaii is 61. They can't hire people. So in meeting with hoteliers in Hawaii, they're looking at robots. You know, how can we get robots to help? Heathrow is using this robot to sort bags, so they can send them to the wrong destination even faster than they ever did.
Well,
There's also sensor data.
Can we invest in that?
Yeah. Well, you invest in bringing them back, right? You've heard of the Disney Magic Band. I was down there to help with the launch. You know, that's a ticket. I can pay for goods and services. It's a photo pass, a room key. Even Mickey can say, hello, Terry, right? Cruise lines are doing the same thing. You can buy drinks. You can even gamble with these wristbands. And they gather tremendous information for the vendor. And, you know, hotels are using IoT to save energy costs. Huge savings, $24,000 in one little hotel. So lots going on with tech. So the conclusions read AI, Booking, Expedia, and Trip will implement it. I think other booking engines are in trouble. That's why Gary's product, I think, is spot on. Route planning will be big, and concierge apps are a new niche. One last thing is this new distribution capability. You know, I was in on the development of Sabre, which was the largest global distribution system. So there's systems like Sabre and Amadeus that sit in the middle between airlines, hotels, and car companies and travel agents, like booking and travel management companies and retail consortia. So what's NDC about? NDC is about going around these systems, bypassing them. And the airlines particularly want to do this because they make most of their money from ancillary sales, from baggage, from upgrades, from food, from the other products they sell you. And they aren't well displayed by the global distribution systems. They also want to save money and not pay those GDSs, right? They also want to know their customer better, because when it's booked by a travel agent through GDS today, they don't really know who that person is. And they also want to expand their pricing options. So this has been going on for 20 years. It's finally starting to happen. Let me just, I got to move this around because I can't see my slides. You know, the agencies are not thrilled by this, right? They don't really want to do this. They get payments from the global distribution systems for every booking they make. That's a lot of their revenue because they don't get commissions anymore. They're going to lose those. It's technically expensive to connect to this new product, and booking and new bookings and changes through a variety of systems are complex and expensive. That's why GDS exists. So I don't want to go to Delta to make a booking and then have to change it in Delta and then change to American, right? Now, the airlines have been using a hammer to get the travel agents to move. They pull their best fares off the GDSs, and they're only available by NDC. They are cutting commissions, and they're limiting NDC to preferred agencies. American was the biggest of those to do that. That didn't work very well. Their executive VP of revenue was fired over this strategy, and they're backtracking on it. But I really think it's going to happen. It's going to shake up distribution. It's going to change the economic flow of the industry. The intermediaries in the middle who facilitate this are going to make some bucks. And the airlines, you know, really want to be able to sell their ancillaries, so they aren't going to give up, because that's where the money is. So that's my view on distribution. I think AI and NDC are the biggest changes are coming. There are a lot of new companies like Copilot, like Amgen, like these concierge companies who are going to not monopolize, but capitalize on these changes to do well.
Terry, we've decided to let you keep going.
Well, I wish I don't have more slides.
In the sense of let's continue this dialogue.
Sure.
With you.
Let's open it to some questions.
Yeah, and then Gary will talk later. Let's open it for questions and comments.
Terry, it's Pete Thurlow. I'm at Postinelli, as I mentioned, with 1,000 attorneys. We use Lawyers Travel that was acquired by American Express, and then personally, I get the travel done by American Express, the Platinum card. For those of us who travel a lot, I'm sure people use that. So what are the bigger companies doing? Are they licensing this new technology? Are they developing on its own, or are they doing a combination of both? Because
Yeah, mostly they're licensing, so I can't comment on American Express. I wish I could, but companies like Amgen have deals with many of the largest TMCs, these travel management companies, to do this email management. We're also doing group air for them. We're doing email classification. With most of these large agencies, including American Express, you end up using a product called Concur to book your travel, which is universally hated. It's a really old product that people don't like, but it's sold well early. We think these new products that use email, that will use Slack, that will use Salesforce, will be much easier to use. So the large TMCs generally build a little bit of their technology, but buy most of it. So our path is to do that. And the same thing with Gary's product that he'll talk about. Most of these travel agencies don't build their own, so that's why there's a good opportunity for his booking engine.
thank you.
Adam and Andy? I think Adam's first.
Terry, it's a small world. Steve Hafner bought my old house here in Rowayton. That wasn't why I raised my hand. I've done almost 3 million miles, and I would not let my assistants book my travel. And this is my question. So let's just take London. So I know I'm going to be in Mayfair, so I want to fly in and out of London City because I can't stand the other airports. And a Jubilee line goes right there, right? So, and I'm getting to this. So then I want the hotel because I got all these meetings. I want to walk to all my meetings in Mayfair, not be taking cabs like these short trips. So I'm giving you this as a question.
Yeah.
Let's just take that because I think you understand what I'm saying. And what I want out of it is not the mechanical part. I wanted to understand my problem, and I want it to give me the best suggestions and solutions to solve my problem, not book me something on Kayak, which I can do myself because I'm really good at it.
So your question is that going to happen?
But my question is, yeah, which part of this, if you take away, Saber's ancient, whatever, you take away the mechanical part, it seems to me a lot of AIs are going to be able to handle that, and that might even be a commodity, who knows? But the other part, where I think travel agents still are good if you want to go to Greece, never been there, somebody set up a good trip for you. So mine's just the business version of that. Are there value add things that solve problems as opposed to just booking tickets?
Well, there's a couple levels, and of all things, my daughter is a high-end travel agent in Beverly Hills. I spent my career putting them out of business, and she became one. So what can you do? So look, first you will have the ability on Kayak to say, I want to fly to London tomorrow. I want to go to the city airport and land at 5 o'clock. So that's easier than what you do today, a little bit. But if you think about it, you take what we're doing with the email product at Amgen. If we know you, we're also using a product that synthesizes all your past trips to get your preferences. So we'd love you to build your own profile, but a lot of people don't bother. So if you look at the past, American Express should do this. They have everybody's travel locked up in a dusty old data swamp in Phoenix. We're doing that. So we're synthesizing that, and we're bolting into corporate travel policy that many companies have, you may not, that says, hey, you can only fly Delta, right? And trying to come up with the best 3 options for you. Now, they may not be perfect. And the great thing about AIs is they're learning systems. So the more you use them, the better they get. And the other thing we're doing initially is when you get those 3 options, if you don't like them, you just click and say, hey, modify this or modify that. And then it learns. So out of the box, is it going to be the perfect for Andrew? No, probably not. But what I lecture to people about, there are lots of things to learn about AI. Most important thing is these are learning systems, and they get better and better and better. And that's what we're trying to build here. So I think we will get to more personalized systems. I think we're doing a good job on the data side, like in Route Perfect. Hey, we digitized 2,000 guides, but how much do we know about Andrew? So a lot of companies are starting with sliders like, hey, I like history, I like great food, I hate going out at night or whatever. And you use these sliders to kind of define you. Most travel agents ask 7 or 8 questions to learn about you the first time.
Didn't
And
work.
that's what we're doing.
I wouldn't let them do it. Didn't work. So what I'm asking is, can I look at my calendar? Can I just tell it like my 10 favorite things and things I hate? And,
Right. Exactly.
Whatever you want to call it.
And that's where we're going to. I actually have a patent that's expired now that I got 25 years ago at Sabre to read your calendar and make suggestions on your trip. Sabre never built it, but it looks nice on my wall. I think that needs to be done, right? We should interface with calendars. And I guess I can't tell you too much, but let's say we're working on things like that.
Let's switch over to Adam. Adam,
Yeah, fantastic presentation. Terry, my question to you is the VRBO example that you gave about what a big backyard. 2 questions on that is the reviews. Who owns those reviews? I'm assuming the travel agency owns the review. And the other question to that is the the logarithms that you use to read that, how do you download all of that? Or does that stay with the data center of VRBO?
Well, two questions. The first question is being fought over daily between OpenAI and everybody else on the web. Who owns it? Right now, the court rulings that I understand say if it's not behind a paywall, it's open. So there are companies who've scraped every TripAdvisor review, and they're available. Are the VRBO's reviews available? I don't know. They gave them to us to work with, but so various companies I think may lock their data down in new ways to prevent people like OpenAI and intermediaries from using them. But that doesn't mean that VRBO can't use their own reviews, right? And synthesize them and give better answers. 10 years ago, I went to the CEO of TripAdvisor, who's a friend, and said, we can do that for you. And he promised not to bring his IT group to the meeting, but he did. And they immediately said, oh, we can do that in 3 days. And of course, they never did. They have 1 billion reviews. What a trove of data for them to use in their own data center. Will others scrape it and use it? People are trying, but that's the battle between OpenAI and the New York Times, and that'll be decided in a lot of legislation over time. But I think the most interesting solutions in AI will combine corporate data, public data like OpenAI, industry data like the Air Transport Association data, and corporate data. And the corporate data is the most important. And if you put those together from a corporate perspective, you can make a whole new recipe, right, of telling people what to do. So that's like Route Perfect combining OpenAI data with their data, or Gary combining OpenAI data with the airline data for his product. That's where you get the power. And that's what I think people are building.
Terry, one interesting point. So traditionally, TripAdvisor is kind of behind a paywall, right? Getting access to that data, you can scrape it, but they're pretty good at getting you blocked. They've actually more recently released a commercial API and are now actually selling that data directly to anybody who'd like to start importing it into their database. And I think a lot of that has to do with the AI.
Sure. I didn't know that. So great. That's great. And, they've looked at their business and saying, the data is more important than the booking. So that 1 billion reviews may be more valuable in a licensing world. If I was them, I'd keep it to me and make a new recipe, but they've always been a fairly stupid company. So
let me turn it to you, Anna, though I have a question of I do a lot of events around the world, Terry, and I'd like that to help us do events, but we'll come back to that. Anna,
Hello, everyone. Great presentation, although I missed parts of it. I had a bad connection. So if you covered the answer to my question, my apologies. And it actually, my question is related to, Terry, your earlier point of getting data, other data, AI generated or AI sourced. More specifically, can you read data from other apps that are not necessarily public data, but other apps, and bring them into like cross connection with other apps? For example, if I have an app to help people with emotional well-being or growth potential or achieving their dreams with the tools that engage nature and art, and using that data to then guide them or show them pictures of the places that would trigger
Sure.
their desire to go there.
That's great. I think that'll be done through partnerships, right? Where you will work as a partner with a larger travel site, maybe Gary's, to say, Gary, I have all these data, but I want it to result in a trip, right? And that's a affiliate partnership. That's where Gary started his company. So I think partnerships that share data will be very powerful. I'm an advisor to a company in the Caribbean who's working with all the Caribbean tourist bureaus to kind of open up their data, but they don't have the ability to make bookings. So they're looking for a partner to do that. And I think AI bridges across that will be very important. Look, I talked to a whole group of tour operators. In the new world, I'm a tour operator that can get you in front of the lion that just killed a zebra at sunset. But how do I get that expressed on my website and through Google, right? Because Google, is about search, but ChatGPT is about find, right? It's different. It doesn't say there are 27 million honeymoon hotels in Hawaii. It tries to give you the best one. So I think all these tour operators and people with travel data are going to be working with companies like Gary's and others to say, how do I express my data in a new way that can be captured by these GPT-like search engines to combine my data with others to help people find what they want?
Awesome.
Terry, I'd love if you'd talk about social media. Where are we going?
Yeah, sure, Gary, that's an important question. With younger travelers, they get all their inspiration from Instagram and TikTok and videos. And so there are a lot of influencers out there. People love to look at that, but they haven't been able to turn that into a booking. So one of the things Gary and other companies are doing is becoming the back end of social media. So I watch a great video and Sally convinces me to go to this hotel in Cancun, and now I can click out of the video and make a booking because inspiration changes. So Hopper, one of the big travel companies, completely got off Google, and all their hotel inspiration now and their hotel traffic comes from Instagram and TikTok, and they're not paying the Google cash machine anymore. Instead, they're giving that back to the customers and incentives by moving to social media. So good catch, Gary. I didn't put that in the pitch.
How do you think that plays into affiliate marketing?
Well, again, that's what we just said. I think these guys want to be affiliates of travel companies. So companies like yours that can be their back end now, instead of just getting a free meal because I pitched a restaurant, I can actually help somebody book that restaurant and get a vig on the back end, or book a hotel or book a flight. So I think affiliate marketing will change and be expanded into this. In fact, one of my old kayak partners is trying to build a company to do that. Your company is trying to do that. Others are trying to ride this new trend of social media inspiration for travel, which doesn't really work for me at 70 years old, but it works for the younger generation like crazy.
so Zarin, I want to take that point about affiliate market, because you're like the ultimate affiliate marketer, but pause because Andrew's got his hand up first.
Thanks, guys,
Any-
and thanks, Terry. Great.
Andrew, did you know that Harry went to Denison?
I did, but he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall.
Okay.
But that's
Well, I'd like to.
thanks. Great presentation. Thank you so much. Being on the other side of the pandemic now, are any of your technologies addressing facilitating travel for the average consumer based upon all the various travel restrictions country by country, and parsing that data and matching it with health needs of travelers? Did that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I don't know anyone who's doing that, but I'll give you a similar one. In fact, I'm talking to that company right after this. I'm a advisor to a company called GeoSure. And what they've done is taken literally hundreds of security databases and roll them up. So you can say, gee, Terry Jones is going to go to Cairo tomorrow. What's the situation in Cairo? And they know that down to a protest is being held, in front of the Ministry of Energy today. So how secure is it down to the zip code? But now they've also done the other side, the demographic side. So if I'm a Black gay person, what's my risk in going to Cairo into that particular zip code where my hotel is? So it's pretty fascinating. Corporations are using it for duty of care. Some of the largest tech companies in the world use it to help their travelers be safe. Real estate companies are using it. And it's becoming to be built into travel apps. So, I should talk to them today about what are they thinking about the health aspects of travel. I'm of this age, I'm going to this place, what dangers might behest me. Maybe I have don't go to Delhi, you've got a respiratory problem or whatever. That's a very good idea. And I don't know anybody who's doing that.
The only one that comes to mind, Terry, is if you think about Sherpa and Riskline.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Sherpa did that for COVID, big time. What were the COVID restrictions? So gotta hope we don't have another pandemic. There are a bunch of those companies who can jump back in. But nobody, I don't see that as a big thing today in travel. The insurance aspect of it is important.
Even under normal circumstances, just addressing that for the masses that travel.
Sure. No, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. All about integrations. You have to connect all those platforms together. That's the key.
Yeah.
Zarin?
Yeah. I definitely agree that empowering the community, to sell word of mouth, people tend to believe or follow like their friends or their community is absolutely great. Even further, supporting the local economies. For example, we have a project in Maui, Hawaii, and supporting those local businesses when people go there to travel, and focusing not on selling, because you mentioned affiliate marketing, like we do like hashtag no selling, just sharing quality content without even, pitching anything. And when people go to your site, they like this, they see different holiday packages, even local goods, products, and they buy something. And, the technology multi-touch attribution enables the people who are involved within that transaction to get paid, including the referrals. So that's what we have been focusing on. But I totally,
I'd love to learn more. So reach out
definitely
through.
Yeah, let's
360.
connect, Mark, with
yeah, there's a company I'm an advisor to in the Caribbean, as I mentioned, and they're working with all the Caribbean tourist associations to do a similar thing to help promote the local business, because cruise passengers tend to go about 50 feet from the dock. They go to the bar and the t-shirt shop, and they don't go much deeper. And our goal is to get them really integrated off the ship into the economy, further back. And really understanding, what's available on these islands in the Caribbean. So it's similar to Maui.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes there are fairs even organized. For example, in Turkey, I know when there are these big boats come, like big jewelry fairs, huge discounts and big sales in a matter of hours.
Yeah, Well, and there's a great company, and Gary might remember the name that I met recently that it has a database of sort of every event going on in the world, concerts, art shows, museums, all this stuff. And
Exactly.
that's getting
Exactly.
built into products like Rob Perfect. So, hey, I like history, and they said, well, you're going from Milan to Rome. You should stop in this little town because this is going on. Nobody's
Yeah,
really
and-
done that before.
And all this content is monetizable, including this link, this Zoom link. It's a unique link and it's a content.
Yeah.
And we are all here.
I think you're going to see, the combining of these data and OTAs changing from a ticket ATM to a real travel agent planning system. And it's going to take time. And I think the other thing that will happen, and economically, this is important, I think, for the group to understand, just as with the internet, the intermediaries will move first. So Expedia, Booking, Trip, they're going to do AI first, and they're going to do it well. And then the brands, Marriott and those guys in the airlines will wake up and go, oh, damn, we should have done AI, because they'll lose share. And then they'll come back and do it. But they're big lumbering elephants that won't do it first.
And Terry, that's exactly, what we're going to be talking about next. Is there a company that can actually do that? And what does that look like? And what is the landscape? And what is the infrastructure? And I'd love for you to talk just a little bit about, meeting me and kind of hearing my original vision and how it's shifted. And the fact that you still take my phone calls.
Yeah. Well, as I said in the pitch, his original vision was, let's democratize travel. Let's have a piece of technology that can go into anybody's site, the American Dairy Association, and let people book travel without leaving that site, where it understands, hey, you're going to this meeting, you're going to this concert. I know the dates, I know where it is, I know the group hotel. You click twice and you're done. And it's as I said, it's very much like the financial products that make it easier in your cart to buy, because you don't have to leave to go to PayPal and come back. That was the original idea. It's still a good idea. But, then by adding GPT to this and doing the natural language search really before the online travel agents had done it, now we have a new mousetrap. And, so my advice to Gary was, you should be the booking engine for everybody else. The big guys aren't going to buy it from you. They're going to build it because they have billions of dollars. But there's 25,000 other guys who just don't have the horsepower to do this kind of work. They buy their booking engines today. So, that's why I think this technology of Gary's as a distribution system for everybody else is the right play at the right time.
All right, we've heard a lot about Gary today. And Gary's
You don't
asked a
know
lot
who he
of
is.
questions. Gary's asked a lot of questions to you. Can Gary just introduce himself and say what he's doing?
Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Gary Summerholder, and I flew in from Nashville last night. I would consider Terry a close friend over the last 3 years. I don't even remember exactly how we got connected, but I knew the moment that I talked to him that he saw the vision of what I was building. And he sent me a great bottle of wine. So I said, hell, we should be friends.
Wow.
And so, Terry and I sat down for a long time and talked about what were the challenges that he saw at Travelocity, what were the challenges that he saw at Sabre, and where's the technology going. I love the Wayblazer story. I think we could probably bring it back to life, Terry. I think about it all the time. I have it in my photos on my phone, and I watch the video and think about, is the timing right to bring that back? And it's interesting because in the last 5 businesses that I've built, so I built 2 in healthcare, sold those, built 1 in communications, sold that, built 1 in fintech, sold that. I got into travel in 2019, which was probably the best time in the world to get into travel. Because in 2020 and 2021, the CEOs of Delta were wanting to do Zoom calls with you because they were so bored out of their mind. You could really talk to just about anybody in the travel industry. And so what we did is we said, hey, let's invest heavily in building a booking engine that's state of the art. What we figured out along the way, and that original thesis statement was, I'm in Nashville. I know a ton of people in the music business. Taylor Swift is going to put on a concert in Bogota, and you're a crazy Swiftie who's going to pay $13,000 to go visit her. Let's book the whole thing: flight, hotel, car, drop it in, branded experience, powered by us. So I started building that for about a year and a half, raised some investor money, put my own money in. And then I said, look, really the key to this is the infrastructure. And so I pivoted and I said, yes, we're going to build the best booking engine. But first, we're going to figure out how to connect all the dots. And I love the theme of today's conversation because it's been so focused on, but I want it to connect to this, and I want it to connect to that, and I want data from this, and I want data from that. And so we've built enterprise level infrastructure as if we were a Stripe for the travel industry. And now it's a lot easier for us to actually build our own enterprise class products. And you're seeing those across the AI chat space, the booking engine space, whatever may be next. And it's all about, again, connecting those dots. So I'm excited to show everyone what we've been working on, where we think this is going. We're very excited to have Terry on our team, both as an investor and advisor. Terry and I have spent a lot of time together. I feel it's a great privilege to be able to kind of come under his wing. I know he's in his late 70s, but he wants one big last travel company.
Early 70s.
70, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Something like that.
And
No, not late 70s.
I'm hoping, God willing, and the creek don't rise, we could build a really big travel company. And I love this concept of, look, Expedia. So Terry, literally, I was on the phone yesterday with the former CEO of Travelocity, Carl, and he said, we spent $800 million trying to solve how to build a better booking engine. And at the end of the day, what we figured out was if the connections aren't good, the whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket anyways. And that's the problem with this AI stuff. You got to get the right data from the right companies at the right time. You got to be able to organize it, segment it, aggregate it, consolidate it. All of that has to be an entire process that you figure out. We know the big guys will do it. We know Expedia is doing it. We know Booking's doing it. Those are the two largest in the world. But what about the 25,000 other travel companies, which, by the way, make up an aggregate market volume of $600 billion? What about them? Who's their co-pilot?
Can I just speak? Last night I'm booking a flight, and Expedia and Booking.com. I don't trust Booking.com. They've screwed me at least 3 times. And you said you're the Stripe of travel. I think you're more like the white label Booking.com of travel. Like you
were hoping this was.
Liz. I have to mute you, or you muted yourself. I do want to just let everybody know. Terry's great. We met through Denison.
It's okay.
I brought him to Amgen. I gotta mute her 1 second. He got involved. Now he's the board chairman of Amgen. They are my clients. You are now my new client. Sorry, Liz, muting you. And those who are investors, we would like to talk about, because there's an investment afoot to scale this company, which has a SaaS model, as well as an interesting acquisition roll up.
That's right.
For this industry. And so those who are qualified investors, stick around. We want to probably take a break before we do a lot of people ask last questions. And we'll turn to learn about what is this company Gary's building with the help of Terry and
I just want to thank you, Terry. I really appreciate, I know you're really busy. You're on your circuits doing your speaking tours right now. Really appreciate you coming on today. It means a lot to me. I feel like I have a co-pilot who, is there for me. So that means a lot to me. And I was excited to host this event in New York. You know me, I don't get out of my house too much because I'm busy coding.
I'm happy to do that from Pixel Airlines that I'm on.
Any last questions for the educational part of this event?
Terry, just a consumer, very basic question. my wife does a lot of the travel and stuff for our four kids and our adults, and she seems to be on the computer a lot. But
Yep.
are these reviews on the website, are they trustworthy, or I heard they're generated by different bots and hear different stories? Can you actually rely on these reviews?
Well, yes and no. I mean, look, the right answer is to look at the overall map of the reviews, because that's the directionally correct. And yes, there are ones that are generated by bots. TripAdvisor fights very hard against that. Others do. Amazon does as well. It's a war. I don't say they're winning, but they're not losing. So I think you need to look at it directionally. And if the graph is all down in the ones, that's probably a bad place. And if it's all in the nines, it's probably a good place. And then you have to read it, through your lens. I mean, if you're a Texan going to Paris and, it says the Crillon has bad steak, well, everybody knows in France that steak they're not known for. Who cares, right? But a Texan might care because he's a steak guy. So look at it through your own lens as you read those reviews, and I think that's helpful. And what you're saying is true. Women do most of the travel shopping, and they love to shop online. They spend a lot of time at it. Men just want to buy.
And it doesn't agree with you, Terry. She's shaking her head.
Well, that's what all the surveys all show. It's not sexist, it's data. That's what they show. So some people shop, some people buy, some people like to hunt. I just want to get there, but I think these new travel apps will change that.
All right, Anna, do you want to make a comment, or are you?
Still good. Yeah, majority probably I would agree that women probably do most of the bookings and shopping. So it's just there's some exceptions.
Right.
And Mark, I did want to give a quick shout out. So we actually have one of my biggest family office investors on this call.
Sure.
If you just take 1 or 2 minutes, Warren, and say hello.
Introduce yourself, please.
Certainly. Hi. Thanks. I'm Warren Miles Pickup. I'm one of the partners of MMIB Ventures and the CMO COO of Pixel Brands. So Pixel True, Pixel Copy, Pixel Publishing. Great to be here. I met Gary a couple of years ago. One of our agencies actually invests in a lot of startups through our design agency. So we meet with companies, and Graham and I, the two founders of MMIB, are both investment guys. And so we have become I guess one of the largest shareholders, Gary, at this point in Copilot. Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, the angry Canadians that Gary gets calls from. And, this is something that we have really believed in as, a company that sees a lot of businesses from the early startup phases and helps them to build out all of their tech and their digital brand. It's been amazing to work with them. We're in the process now of building about 150 sites that would utilize the platform that Gary is building as integrated travel component, which is very much built off of what we were talking about earlier with the affiliate marketing, that sort of thing, because of the demand for, niche information with regards to very specific locations, and then being able to utilize a product like this to then complete the transaction, remove all the friction from the transactions, and stay on site is just incredibly powerful. So we've got a lot of travel related companies that are very interested in taking part in this. But yeah, thanks, Gary, for having me. I appreciate it. This is great, Terry. Fantastic to meet you finally. I hear so much about you all the time, so appreciate the information.
Thanks.
Any last questions, comments?
Just for Gary, I do a lot of work in the med device and biotech area, and we're always trying to partner with strategics. So people like Terry and yourself, and you don't have to say names or something, but I assume that part of your platform is to team up with a strategic, one of these bigger companies to get investment in the data.
Strategic investors.
Yeah.
We have to be a little bit careful because there's still kind of this sibling rivalry in the industry.
Okay.
And so if you take money from the wrong person, they go, "Oh, you're with them now."
Yeah.
So it's a little challenging, but yeah, I mean, our perspective is really we're partner centric, right? Nothing that I can build is going to do anything without having great partnerships. And that's actually that whole theme behind, and I know we kind of use it playfully, but co-pilot, the whole idea of that is somebody who can take over and fly the plane if they're needed to do so. But they don't do it unless they need to do it, right? And that's that whole concept of how we've evolved this company since 2019.
Oh, great job. Awesome.
Well, thank
Well-
you, Terry. We appreciate you joining us from your private jet in the sky today.